It was close to midnight when the storm rolled over the quiet town of Red Hollow, Virginia. The wind howled through the old oak trees, and the rain hit the windows like fingertips, tapping for attention. On the edge of town stood the old Ridgeway House, a place locals called the Whispering Home. No one had lived there for over 30 years, not since the Carter family vanished overnight. Most people avoided that road after dark, but one night, a young woman named Sarah Miller decided to stop there. She was driving back from Richmond when her car broke down near the house. Her phone had no signal, and the only light she could see was the faint glow coming from one of the upstairs windows of that abandoned home. Sarah hesitated, staring at the light flickering behind the cracked glass. She whispered to herself, "Maybe someone's still here." The rain was cold and heavy, and the road was empty. She finally gathered her courage and walked up the broken stone path to the front door. The door was slightly open. She pushed it, and it creaked like something alive. The air inside was thick, dusty, damp, and strangely warm. She called out, "Hello? Is anyone here?" But the only response was a faint whisper from upstairs. It didn't sound like a voice, more like air moving through old pipes, but it formed a word she could barely make out. It sounded like her name. Sarah froze, her heart pounded. She took a step back, but then she saw something in the hallway. Family portraits, covered in dust, all with their faces scratched out. Each frame had deep nail marks where the eyes should have been. She turned to leave, but the door behind her slowly closed on its own. The whisper came again, louder this time, closer. It said, "You shouldn't have come back." Sarah ran toward the living room. The air grew colder with every step. The old clock on the wall began ticking again, though it had no hands. She could hear footsteps above her, slow and heavy, moving toward the staircase. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. Then, from the top of the stairs, she saw the faint outline of a man, tall, wearing a dark suit, his face lost in the shadows. He began to descend the stairs, one slow step at a time. The light flickered. Sarah backed away until she hit the wall. The man stopped halfway down. His voice was a deep whisper that shook the floorboards. He said, "You took her name." Sarah didn't understand. "What do you mean?" she whispered back. The figure lifted his head slightly. For a brief moment, lightning flashed through the window, and she saw his face, pale, rotting, his mouth sewn shut with black thread. And yet the whisper still came through. "You took her name, Sarah Carter." She realized then the name she'd carried all her life. The name on her birth certificate matched the last child who had lived in this house, the one who had disappeared. The lights went out. The next morning her car was still there, engine cold, doors open. The sheriff found muddy footprints leading from the road to the Ridgeway House, but none leading back. The upstairs window was glowing faintly, just as it had the night before. And from inside the house, some say you can still hear a voice whispering a single word through the storm. Sarah. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is Haunted States, where every corner of America hides a nightmare waiting to be told. Tell us in the comments which state's story we should explore next, because the next haunting might be closer than you think.